There's been so much chatter about all the players headed overseas from the U.S. women's national team to compete. Sandra has declared, who's the latest best league, Bud?
I think the last time we did our, in case you missed the news cycle, I believe I got to follow the path of the crown. It went from NWSL to Women's Super League in England, and then it went to France. No, excuse me. Then it went to Saudi Arabia, and then it went to France, and it is now currently in Mexico. Liga MX Femenil, getting all
Hey!
that NWSL talent. So yeah.
Gosh, the lore of this show is so good sometimes. But we're not talking where the crown is held right now in Liga MX. We are talking abroad, overseas in Europe. We are taking a look at some of the U.S. women's national team players that are competing in European competition and Americans abroad. The first one we have to talk about is the newest member of Arsenal. The defender, Jenna Nighswonger from the U.S. women's national team, recently traded to Arsenal, and she made her debut with her first start for the Gunners in a 2-0 win over London City in FA Women's Cup this past weekend. It was one of 6 changes for Renee Sledgers in this move, putting Nighswonger on the pitch. So congratulations to her on her debut and her start. Usually for Nighswonger, we have seen her in the back line for international play and also with Gotham. But lest we not forget, in college, she played as an attacking midfielder higher up the pitch. And in this match against Arsenal, Darian, she wasn't playing left back. She wasn't playing right back. Where the heck was she? What did you see from Nighswonger?
She was playing on the left wing. She was playing at the 11. I did not expect that. I'm not gonna lie. When the lineups first came out, I was like, "Oh, I thought she was starting." It took me a minute to find her name. I just didn't even expect to look in the front line. But it makes a lot of sense for me when you look at this team and how stacked they are in the back. I mean, you have a world-renowned left back in uh, Steph Catley. Who's the other? I'm blanking on her name. Help me, Steph McCabe.
Yep, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I got it,
Oh,
guys.
Katie McCabe, left back, yeah.
Katie
Sorry.
McCabe, thank you. Left me hanging. It's okay.
My
But
bad. Blank. I was reading the chat.
it's tough to break into that team when you have such world-renowned outside backs like that who bring a lot of the same qualities Jenna has. So I think this is a big opportunity to train with players like that, elevate your game. That competition level is great because the left back position at Gotham was Jenna's. I think to make the left back position hers on the national team, she has to add more to her game. And this is the place to do it. So, in order to build chemistry with her teammates and maybe have a kind of rotating, really fluid left side for Arsenal, left side, strong defensive side, if you have Jenna Nighswonger up at the left wing, which we know she can cross, she can shoot with both feet, she's great coming inside, she's a natural midfielder, so she likes to be a little bit more tucked in, combining with Caldente. That allows Katie McCabe or Steph Catley, who plays on that left, to get up higher, and you have equal responsibility in that defensive position. So I actually really like this. I think this is smart for Jenna. I think this is smart for Arsenal. Having a really, really strong left side is going to be tough to break down against teams where some of your best players are usually on the right. It's a good look. I'm excited to see how this develops her game because she's going to have to elevate to get playing time. Like this is a stacked Arsenal side in that position.
I do
It's
wonder.
almost, yeah, go ahead, Sandra.
I was just gonna say, I do wonder if this is just like the beginning of maybe like some answers, plural, to the question that we had going into this move with Nighswonger to Arsenal, because I think immediately when it was just the rumors and then it became the reporting and then it became official, it was like, okay, so Jenna Nighswonger is going to go to Arsenal, where they pretty much have their OB positions locked for the most part. It's like, are you going to be like competing essentially alongside and with Emily Fox for time at one of these positions, McCabe on the other side? And so like that was like the big glaring question. And so to sort of see this kind of debut, it's like maybe, just maybe, this is like one potential answer. I'm curious if maybe this kind of debut will mean that we'll get to see her in those other areas. Maybe we're going to get to see that vintage, a midfield, attacking midfield type of Nighswonger for Arsenal. Maybe when you think of the bench at this point for Gunners, like you think, okay, is Jenna Nighswonger going to be a sometime starter, and can she be considered a depth player? Which is kind of wild to think about, considering she mostly is coming from a team where she was a bona fide starter. So I'm definitely, it's piqued my curiosity, to say the least. I'm locked in and I want to see what comes next.
I didn't really expect for her to come into the squad as a starter. I think we'll see her in, say, FA Cup as they move on to the quarterfinals. And maybe she'll pick up some minutes otherwise. But I don't know. I guess in my head, I never pictured her playing in the back line at Arsenal because McCabe is such a lock that,
Mhm.
like, unless she were injured, she's not coming out of that position. But also, like, yes, Nighswonger was a starter for Gotham, but she also had a lot of defensive weaknesses. She's great getting up the flank, but Arsenal also worked that right side so heavily because the link up between Emily Fox and Ford or Kira Cooney Cross is so solid. And even in this game, seeing Fox come in for Reed was night and day flipping a switch. Like, she's so important to this Arsenal side. I think if we're talking in the greater context of Americans abroad, that I don't know where Nighswonger will fit in. She did okay in what I'd call the midfield this last match, but she also looked like she was out of position a bit, which I guess I would expect having this be her debut. It wasn't explosive by any means. I think we need to see a little bit more of what she can do, what she will do for Arsenal. But right now, I'm kind of like, girl, you're going to have to step it up a lot.
It's such a different conversation of where Arsenal needs her and where she is going to benefit the most, right? Obviously, depending on where she is, she's going to help the team and benefit them. But for her positionally and what she wants to do internationally and how she wants to grow and change, I like her a little higher up the pitch. It just forces her to use different tools out of her arsenal and get a little bit more comfortable in those really tight spaces when she can rotate inside, looking almost as if a center mid at times. Steve, what were you going to say?
And I like this too because there's not a major tournament coming up. She's got a bit of time to develop. I mean, this is the time, we've talked about this on previous shows, that these national team players, you can go overseas. You can, hey, maybe I'm not going to start and play every single minute, every single match here, but I'm going to add different levels to my game. Technically, tactically, it is so different going and playing European teams, that European style of play based on the country, as opposed to just NWSL. So I think this was a smart move. And what I was saying earlier about Jenna on their lineup and how she starts, she was on the left forward. But I like it because she's able to pop into that midfield channel. Caldente, whoever's playing in that left back position, can go high. And it's this triangle of fluidity where they all share responsibility on that side and they can come inside and combine. It's not just that she's playing forward. I think that's not her position, quite frankly. I mean, Arsenal has a stacked front line. It just adds another layer to Arsenal. If they maybe want to be more defensive, they want to have the ball a lot more, they want to break teams down with their passing ability and how they're able to combine, Jenna's a great player to have in that position.
You're talking about a vertical triangle, essentially, that doesn't make sense, but on the left side with Nighswonger, Caldente, and McCabe. And there was
McCabe, Catley, yeah.
Right, whoever rotated in there. Okay, cool. I like it. I love when
do you think this could be like the beginning of Nighswonger's tenure with Arsenal as like sort of, I hate to use like utility player, but like, is she like, are we seeing the beginnings of like this potential like Swiss Army knife multi-tool kind of like profile player for Arsenal with Jenna Nighswonger?
I think so. I'm thinking of comparing her with Crystal Dunn, their career trajectory, and what Crystal's done by being utility player is not bad. Maybe it sucks being the utility player at times because you can't just fully get committed into a position where, hey, this is my position, but it can work in the long run for you. We've seen that with Crystal Dunn.
I
where
think you
can
have to
slot
be
in
really
anywhere.
talented, though.
And I think Jenna has that.
Yeah.
I think Jenna has that.
I don't think she has yet. I don't think she has
Not
it yet.
Not yet. That's why I think with Arsenal, she can develop that, because that's a tough team to break in anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere in that spot. Nobody has a solid starting position besides maybe a couple of the players. So here's where she can build. Here's where she can develop against world-class players where it's competitive every single day, regardless of what position tactics that they're playing in. And yeah, I do think this could be the start of a really long career with Arsenal, where she's going to be asked to do a lot more than she ever would if she would have stayed at Gotham.
That's why I said I'm locked in. Renee, Jenna Nighswonger, they've got my attention.
The goal for Nighswonger, we can assume, is national team consistent player. What's her best shot? Like, positionally, what's the best shot she has to be a lifetime player with the U.S.?
To me, it's being a utility player.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's being like a Crystal Dunn.
Yeah, I think we also have to take into consideration the head coach of the national team at this point. Emma Hayes is going to value that. She's going to
She loves
value
the
that.
versatility.
Absolutely.
That's true. That's true. Okay. In this era of Emma Hayes, it's really hard to be a utility player.
Yeah.
It is so difficult because you have to be so consistent every single day in what you're doing and be ready to just go in any position. So you have to mentally, it's such a mental game for utility players. And I think Crystal Dunn has executed it and been a Swiss Army knife so well that sometimes we take for granted how difficult that can be for players to switch teams, switch formations, switch tactics, switch positions, all in the span of about a week and change things up. I like that you've got the faith in Jenna Nighswonger to do it, though. I'm not there yet. I'm excited to see how she develops at Arsenal over the next 6 months and what comes. Let's reevaluate come the fall, and we'll see what's happening with Jenna Nighswonger. Nighswonger is just one of many, many Americans that are competing overseas. We have players of all over the Champions League, but we've got them in the Super League, in France, essentially everywhere. Let me hear, guys. Who are you watching for? Americans abroad style, Sandra. Is there a player that's stood out to you? You want to give some love to right now?
Maybe some people might not be quite there yet with this player, but for me, I'm really enjoying these flashes that we're getting from Catarina Macario. I like that she's been stepping up in really kind of high stakes moments, has converted a couple penalties already at this point. It makes me wonder if maybe this player is finally getting to a point where we all felt that she could be. She's had to navigate a very tricky knee injury, kind of balancing, coming back a little bit, not going too quickly, making sure that she can get some stability in terms of consistency of minutes. And I do wonder if maybe what we're seeing from Macario at this point is some of the joy in just being on the pitch with teammates again. I think it's very helpful that it's with Chelsea and they're playing so dominantly. And maybe there's a little bit of weight or pressure lifted off one's shoulder. But it makes me very curious if what she's doing with Chelsea also could mean that she's perhaps closer to making a return to the national team as well. So I don't, you only want to whisper it. You don't want to speak it too loudly. But I've absolutely been enjoying Catarina Macario and what she's been doing overseas.
Me too. 5 goals, 3 assists across all competitions. Sandra, she looks back. She looks ready to go.
Knock on wood, everybody. Knock on wood.
I know. All right, D, Americans abroad. Who are you watching?
I'm sticking with Arsenal. I've been loving watching Emily Fox. I think it's really rare for us to see a player go overseas and transition as seamlessly as she had. She jumped in and looked like she just picked up right to the level where that the team is playing at. Her crossing ability, I think, has gotten better in her time with Arsenal. Her driving forward more, which I think with the national team, she has to play a little bit more reserved because the left side is typically the side that's going up, going at it, sending balls across. So I like this level of her, either when she's dribbling, she's going 1v1, she's getting up high. She still has her recovery run that is so great to watch, but I think she's just added more to her game with Arsenal and become a staple in that back line. I mean, I think they play differently when she's not there. I think there's more security when she's there and she's playing lucrative minutes. And I love it for her. And I like now that she is a teammate in Jenna Nighswonger from the national team that we're going to see them both develop and see how maybe that relationship can even get a little bit closer. I know they play on opposite sides of the field, but you never know. Sometimes coaches like to have left-footed players on the right side to cut in. Maybe we could see them playing together. I mean, we were talking about Jenna being a utility player, so maybe we can see them combining, but I'm loving the way Emily Fox has transitioned into playing with a heavy hitter like Arsenal.
If Fox and Nighswonger were on the same side, it would be so chaotic and fun.
So good.
I'm thinking like from a defender's perspective, I would hate that.
Hate
I would hate that. They would just run circles around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, good shout for Arsenal and Foxy. All right, Chris, who you watching? Who you looking at?
I mean, I know she gets a lot of hatred and vitriol, but you really gotta hand it to Lindsey Horan. She's sitting 12 goals, 5 assists, all comp this season, which is literally double her productivity from her last two seasons at Lyon. Just absolutely remarkable. Whatever lit the fire, like keep it going, baby. Because she looks sharp, and also like bring that back to US camp.
Lindsey Horan's a good one with Lyon, top of the table, 40 points for Lyon. She's going up against PSG in league play with Corbin Albert, midfielder for the U.S. defender, Ava Gattino. Can we say that? She's been in the mix. We'll call her in there. I'm going to give a shout out to goalkeeper Phallon Tullis-Joyce.
Great shout.
At Manchester United right now, and she has done an absolutely fantastic job defensively of locking things down and helping United claim the second spot in the standings. They are just behind Chelsea, guys. This is freaking Manchester United. This is awesome. So 9 wins for PTJ. 3 draws and just 1 loss, 5 goals against, and 9 clean sheets. She has grown so much as a player in her time at United, and having to fight for that starting role and come in behind Earps and learn a lot last year and be patient, be on the bench and be patient. And that is so hard to do, but that's a goalkeeper's game until you can secure that starting spot. And Phallon Tullis-Joyce has done a really good job. If I'm Emma Hayes, I am licking my chops at PTJ and what she's done and how consistent her game has been in Super League play. That's a good one. I'm glad you guys liked that one.
Great job, Lisa. She getting called into the next camp?
Yes.
She needs to get used. Like, I want to see her actually play.
Yeah, I want to see her play with the U.S. I think she gets called in. What do we have? SheBelieves, like in weeks.
Hey, that could be the opportunity. I mean, Emma Hayes has said in a couple of pressers in regards to that January camp, the futures camp, and this expansion of the player pool, how SheBelieves Cup is supposed to be a little bit of a bookend to that she targets SheBelieves Cup as sort of the kind of final timeline of when she gets to see all of the players that she has wanted to really take a look at within camp. So I do wonder if maybe SheBelieves Cup roster will have a little bit of a mix of players to compete for that cup, for that trophy, combined with players who she wants to see in those environments with that kind of sort of semi high stakes on the line.
We saw in this January camp with Emma Hayes that she didn't call in any European players. We don't think she'll do that for SheBelieves. We think she'll go all over the map.
I mean, it's a international window, so maybe there's a little bit more. I know with the January camps it wasn't an official window, so like you're not going to have clubs aren't going to let their players go just to hang out in a with a 50 player reset, tempo resetter essentially. But I think with this window, because it's an international window, because it's going to be for a cup, and it's supposed to function as like the first of the year kind of major opportunity for a lot of international teams. So it's often during that early window of the year where we see so many of these national teams kind of collaborate with each other for these kind of mini tournaments in this first window. So I'm hopeful that we'll get to see some of these European players get called in.
SheBelieves Cup starts February 20th. Yeah, I do. I do.
I do too. To me, this is the time to check the temperature of how the team is gelling, leaving off from what you did last year and now seeing, okay, what's the new standard? We just won the effing gold medal at the Olympics when everybody doubted us. Now there's a huge target on their backs, more so than there was before. So what's this new level we're bringing? What is everybody working on with their club teams? Now we have all these Americans abroad. Cool. What's your game been looking like? How are you developing? How are you bringing it to this team and showing up? I like this. It's a good test. SheBelieves. I hate the name of that tournament, but it's a really good opportunity to play against some good competition.
Yeah.
And gives us a little tease of what we're going to see the rest of the year with tournaments, friendlies, just seeing, what's this new level of the women's national team, not just the US, but every other country.
And they're in form. The players who are the Americans abroad who are playing for club in Europe right now are in form. There is a huge chunk of that national team player pool that are still in preseason with NWSL clubs, or if they find themselves coming back with USL, or if they're collegiate players who are going to get called into this camp, they're still in that preseason form. So you're gonna want when you're going up against Colombia, when you're going up against Australia, Japan, you're gonna want some players who are informed. So yeah, I'm with Lisa. Not only do I think this is the opportunity for that coaching staff to kind of get some of these players in, but I think it's a good shot for them to get in.
SheBelieves Cup around the corner. It kicks off February 20th. The U.S. will play against Colombia, Australia, and Japan. So, yes, people in the chat are like, when are we getting the roster? We should be getting a U.S. women's national team SheBelieves Cup roster any day soon, any day now. Make sure you subscribe to Attacking Third on YouTube, because as soon as that roster drops, we will be on YouTube going live, talking about the roster, breaking it down, and you'll get an alert if you're subscribed. Then you can join us and we can talk about it. Guys, Americans abroad, tune in. Let us know who you're watching. Let us know, because we want to see. We want to know the hype around the players you are cheering for.